And we are live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am here with the one, the only Level Up Life. Now, I got sniped a little while ago. Maybe you got sniped. I don't know how it is, but I'm actually really happy about it because I'm glad you were able to have that conversation with Gank and Walking Keys. Those guys bring a fantastic perspective to the space, and I was really interested in what you had to say. But it sounds like you had a little more, and some of the other Mavs were saying that I needed to get on and chat with you about Andreessen Horowitz, VCs, hedge funds, a lot of the institutional interest that is in this space. So I'm excited to dive into the conversation with you, Level Up Life. But before we do that, if you could just give, for folks who might be new to you, and just to get a level set on your background, where you're coming from, and how you approach this game, and actually just maybe even play to earn in crypto in general.
Yeah, so the Gank show was a little bit off at a left field. I wasn't really expecting to do anything like that, and I kind of got being on a video, especially with you and or Gank or something like that. I really think to myself, how do I bring value, because it's not just me ranting on my own YouTube, it's me on yours. And so I really thought to myself, if I'm going to go on your show, I kind of had some really cool information to share on Ganks, but I thought, man, if I'm going to be on Aftersound, how can I bring value? And I know the big thing right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I really thought this through a little bit here, and hopefully I could throw some valuable stuff. And we could deep dive into what I shared on Gank, but I thought maybe there's a few other things that I think would be even cooler that maybe we could talk about, people might be interested in. I know right now that the big thing is like the big chase thing, and maybe we can kind of a little bit different content here.
This conversation can go wherever you want it to go. And actually, like I said, I mean, my interest in chatting with you is I think your perspective and the research you've done on like I said, the institutional space is really fascinating to me. So if we don't talk about ranked rewards, that's totally fine with me.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, before I'll share about myself, let me just put some context on this. So what I like to do is have an edge, right? I like to kind of, I like to do deep research, because sometimes I feel like how I feel is pretty organic. And for example, me being in Spinnerlands is kind of an organic journey that led me here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I question that, did I make a wrong turn somewhere? Am I finding myself, why am I here? Why am I buying a Yoden Zaku? You know what I mean? What the heck am I doing? And I do a lot of research to see if other people are seeing what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, you know what I mean? And so it's sort of a confirmation sort of thing. And so one of the reasons why I do deep research is from that perspective. And, I do have I usually do have a community or friends and stuff like that are kind of rolling with me. And I want to also make sure that I'm giving correct information. So I'll jump in really quick. I think it will help if people kind of understand how I got here really quick. And then I'll jump into why I think we are in the right place at the right time. Right?
I love it.
Cool. So I'll make this pretty short, but I I'll get right.
Don't feel like you need to make it short. Don't feel like I don't mind here. I don't mind hearing the full origin story, man, because everybody's got a different road travel, and I think yours will be fascinating. So
so I'll try to keep it interesting and not short, but interesting.
I'm sure it'll be interesting regardless. Stop putting some pressure on yourself.
Right. Okay, cool. So I'm born in Vegas, and 12 years. For about the last 12 years, not the last 12 years, but before I moved to the Philippines, I think most people know I'm in the Philippines now. I moved to the Philippines about 8 years ago, but 12 years before I moved here, I was a dice dealer at the Aria Casino in Las Vegas, and probably had a pretty average life, and then just wanted to kind of get out of the rat race, just kind of like do something crazy, do something different. So I decided to move to the Philippines, and so 8 years ago I moved to the Philippines. And one of the things I was really looking for when I came here was I kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I just wanted to explore that. I wanted to have a business, employees, things like that, but just felt like the barrier of entry in the US was just too big. And there was always this pull to just go get a good job, and businesses were more of we're just going to kind of like be a terrible experience.
Yeah.
And so when I came to the Philippines, I jumped into that. I began to, explore business and had Filipino employees and things like this. And this leads us up to pretty much COVID, right? And so, COVID hits, and, I was building real life businesses, stores and things like that, convenience store, bar, restaurant, different things I was trying out, farming, everything, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
COVID hits, I'm locked in my house, right? It's like, go
Yeah.
home, lock the door. I'm sitting in my house and I'm like, well, this kills everything. Our businesses went to zero, right? It was just
Yeah.
like over. And I'm sitting in my house like, what the hell am I going to do now, man? And so I bought a camera, bought a microphone, and I was like, live streaming. I'm just going to talk, man. I'm just going to, and obviously I was on Filipino time zone. So I began to target Filipinos, and I built a community. It was called Crypto Learning Philippines. It was a Facebook page, and
Okay.
Filipinos were on Facebook, and so I started a crypto learning page. A lot of the crypto Philippines pages were very scammy, very Ponzi scamish. Bring
Yeah.
your friends, join this sort of thing. So I thought I'd open my camera and I'd get real. I'd been in crypto for a while and Bitcoiner and stuff like this, and so I thought, man, I'll
Do,
just share this.
do you
Go
mind?
ahead.
Do you mind if I interrupt you for a second? I'm sorry, but
Go.
I got three questions for you. One, when did you first get into crypto? Two,
Yeah.
where in the Philippines are you at? Well, actually, just those two questions. Where in the Philippines are you at?
So I'm on an island. I'm on the island of Samar.
Samar. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the. I think it's one of the poorer islands. If you say, I think I've kind of researched that before. It's one of the poorer islands. It's more, they call it the province,
Okay.
where Manila, Cebu, Davao is more of your big city. Especially Manila is your big
Mm-hmm.
city, and then you have these provinces, and then maybe one step below that you might have your barangays, right? And so I'm
Gotcha.
sort of in the province.
So
Um,
my mom is from the Philippines, so I've been there a bunch.
oh,
I got
sweet.
family there, so that's why I was so curious to
Where
see
at?
where you. My family's from. I have family in Cebu, but
Cebu, yeah,
yeah, I mean, I got some like extended family in Manila. Like if I go there,
yeah.
maybe I can hit them up. But I'm just it's really exciting to me that there's a big crypto and play to earn movement in the Philippines. So just the fact that you're there and kind of like
Yeah.
in the thick of it, that's one of the reasons that I was
Yes.
excited to talk to you. But I totally interrupted you. I just needed to know
No,
before
no,
we
it's
moved on.
cool. Yeah, interrupt me anytime. So I'm leading up to kind of how I got to Spinnerlands right here. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened is I start streaming and I build a Filipino audience, and I'm getting the Filipinos. Now remember, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, so I'm streaming from kind of that perspective. I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but I start building this Filipino audience, and I'm teaching crypto. And I based on the feedback, I was really giving value to these Filipinos. They were starting to really latch on. Our community was getting strong, and I was taking them pretty much into one pump and dump to another one, is how I would explain it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We were in Tron because Tron was cheap transactions. Even though I'm a Bitcoiner, like there was nothing to do in Bitcoin and we needed
Yeah.
entertainment, man. I'm stuck in my house, and Tron was fun, dude. It was like gambling and all those crazy things. And so it was really just an entertainment thing, man. And we just totally shit coined it up and just jumped in, and like I said, one pump and dump to another, and we
Mm-hmm.
jump in and we were making money, we'd make a little bit of money. Guys, get out now, let's get in. And I started to get exhausted, because I was doing deep research. You're worried about the communities getting bigger. You don't want to lead them into the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You're like, we've been getting lucky. we're kind of, we got the belts, man. I don't want to lose it. And I was like, I got to drive this community into a place where we can be safe. We could take the little bit of money we made and we
Yeah.
could sort of and I could breathe, right? And that's where I got to ultimately, right?
Okay.
So remember, I started streaming right after we got locked down in COVID. In the Philippines, it got a little crazy, man. We were at one point, we were locked in our house. We had a government employee would come and pick up our money to buy what we needed to bring it back to our house. I mean, we were
Wow.
locked in, right?
Yeah.
So my outlet was just yelling at him, just talking to my computer guys. And we had, I had cruise ship hostesses. We had several girls, which I thought was kind of weird, for crypto gaming. It's kind of a dude thing. We had
Mm-hmm.
girls in there. We had, a lot of Filipinos were not allowed to leave. They were like cruise ship employees, foreign workers, nurses were stuck. The community started being like these different types of Filipinos you wouldn't expect, not these young gamers, but like, like real people that were like really struggling, trying to make a little bit of money. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, I remembered Spinnerlands, and I had played a few crypto blockchain games before. I was really big in the 0x universe, which ultimately ended up failing, and I lost a lot of crypto there. But I remembered Splinterlands. I remember hearing interviews way back in the day of like Ackroyd, I think, and Yaba just talking about this dream they had to create a blockchain game. And it was so early, it was like crazy to even say that back then. I
Yeah.
remember this, and I went on the websites like, the ones that rank the games. And I was like, Splinterlands, this is where we're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, I got on my camera and I was like, we are playing Splinterlands. That's it. We're going in, guys. And, back then that was when land was still, it was still in pre-sale. I think that was right around, I think that was like second or third phase land pre-sale. And we drove, so we drove in. And I said, sorry if you don't want to play this game, but that's where we're going.
Yeah.
I said, they have these guild things. I said, we're going to have these guilds. So I ended up creating 3 guilds, Leveluplife guilds in Splinterlands, which was 16 people, right? Because when you start the guild, it fits 16 people. And I remember we filled 3 guilds up, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's how we started. A lot of people didn't want to play, but ultimately we filled 3 guilds up and we drove in. I said, guys, I'm going to help anybody. If you can't afford the cars, I'll buy the cars for you. You can pay me rent. You know what I mean? Because the rental system wasn't there yet. You know what I mean? They had the Hive peak monsters where you pay in Hive, but it was clunky.
Were you are you the godfather of the scholar program within Splinterlands? It sounds like you might have been doing this before the rental and delegation system was even there.
Okay, so listen, that's very interesting. So let me lead up to that because I'll get to that point, and I'll tell you why I think my story here is going to get really interesting because I'll lead up to it and then I'll show you guys why this is important. I'm not just trying to talk about myself, but I think it's very important to understand how I got to this point and then why I think understanding my story is important on what I'm going to share ultimately about, let's say, the hedge fund, specifically A16Z, right? Okay. So I'm like, guys, rental says, now remember, I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I'm like a business owner at heart. And my businesses went to zero, right? And I was okay with that. I was still in a calm, I was okay with that. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm looking for opportunity. And so I ultimately had this vision that Filipinos, I was like, because look, my employees were getting paid about the minimum wage where I live is about 350 pesos a day. Okay. That's minimum wage. That's $7 a day. And that's like for a 16-hour shift, 6 days a week. It's not even a nice day salary. It's like a hardworking day, right? That's the $7. And so I thought, man, these games are so close to being able to like literally pay more than $7 a day. It's like, if I could just find the little niche or the little, like if this could just pump a little bit, or like if this could just, this is almost there, man. Like I could take all the employees that I had that like are sitting at home, that we had to like lay off because we just like closed one day. It was like out of the blue. And I had employees that just like went home and I'm just sitting in my house like everybody else, like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this could almost work. And so I was looking at it from that perspective. And when I looked at Splinterlands, I was like, man, this could almost work, dude. I mean, if they could just make $7 a day, screw it out. This is like, this is employment. You know what I mean? So I was looking at it from that perspective. This is before anybody even talked about that YGG and all these play to earn, man. It wasn't even on the radar yet. And so,
I mean, this is what, like early or mid 2020 at this point, right?
Mid 2020, right? We got locked down about May 2020, right?
Gotcha.
About 6 months later. Okay, so I think ultimately we drove into Splinterlands. It was December 2020. Okay, so it was like Christmas 2020-ish. This is pre SPS token, as a matter of fact, I have a chart I'll show you guys. It was like ugly back then. It was like people were burning common cards because they were worthless.
I was going to say it's probably the low point for Untamed, right? Everybody was thinking that it was the end of the game.
Oh, it was the end, man. They used to burn thousands of common cards. Used to get burned. I forgot what the common cards were, but they would just burn the crap out of them.
It's crazy.
Thousands and thousands. They were worthless. You put them up for a penny was the minimum, and nobody wanted them. You know what I mean? You were buying a Yodenzaku thinking this could just go to zero. People say, oh, you got a Yodenzaku for $25. Man, I'm telling you, you thought it could go to $1, dude. You're buying worthless crap. They were burning cards back then for the 5 DEC. You know what I mean? And I was buying DEC for 60 cents. Nobody wanted the damn thing. There was a peg, and it couldn't even
hold the peg.
It's going a freaking 10 cents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could buy an Untamed pack for 2,000 DEC because it was pegged and DEC was at 60 cents. Nobody wanted the crap. and they were burning cards back then.
Wow, what a
So
time.
perspective. So I'm buying these cards and I'm taking the risk, right? I'm buying the $25 Yoden taking the risk for my community. You know, I mean, I'm taking the blow, right? I'll hold the damn thing, guys. You know what I mean? I'll let you rent it. And they were able to make money on top of that because there was you could grind, you know, you could do your daily quest and you could make money. And I charge them like 50 cents a day. And I put the entire deck together. Yoden Llama. They had everything with monsters. I was charging 50 cents a day. For the whole thing, not the card, the whole deck.
Just the whole deck, yeah.
For 3 splinters, I was charging $1.50 a day, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm trying to create a job. That's my vision. I'm like, can we get $7 a day? You know, what I mean, like these guys need jobs, man. We need to create jobs. So, anyways, so I have this vision, man, and I'm in it, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to make this work, man. I'm like dreaming of how to get this to where I believe it could be. And then Aggro, you know, began to share these charts. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll just share my screen now. And I'll begin to show you guys this. Right? It's just put some pictures on this context here to give you guys an idea. You're showing. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Is this the one?
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
There we
so
go.
Just to give you guys an idea, this was, I went back in history, man, and I pulled this out. Aggro posted this, okay? This is 2021 April, right? 2021. And this shows the entire card market cap, man. And we were in about this time. It was $4 million. The entire card market cap was $4 million. And Aggro began to show this because we were starting to pump, right? And it was like, oh man, the cards are going up in value, you know. And you see this pump here. Just to put context on it, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like right now. I mean, this is actually what it looks like right now. Wow. And this chart right here, just to give you an idea where this chart is, I'll put my mouse over it. It's about right here. Okay,
that's incredible.
So obviously, it was like there was this. For me, it was like this. I knew it. Like I knew that I somebody saw. You know what happened was during this time, YGG came onto the scene, and they were on an AMA back then. It was called the AMAs, right? They were on an AMA back then, and YGG came in and said, guys, Aggro brought him on as a presenter, and he said, you know, we're starting a community. We have Filipinos, you know, we're creating jobs. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is what I envisioned. And so this takes me back to what happened was when YGG came on the scene, man, I rushed over their Discord. And I went over there, I was like, I need to talk to the leader here. I need to talk to, this is my vision. I got to get on board with you guys. You guys are doing what I envisioned, man. We need to create jobs. We need to do this. And I went over there and I was like, so excited, man. I was like, this is what I knew you guys were coming. I knew something big was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I knew this was prime for this. This is what I thought. And I ran over there and I began to help the community. They gave me a role of community helper in YGG's Discord, and I began to help. And they began to get flooded with what's called a bio data. So in the Philippines, when you're applying for a job, you'll submit what's called, in the US, we call it a resume, but in the Philippines, it's called bio data. And it usually comes with like a passport photo of yourself. And then it's sort of like a sheet you almost fill out. What was your last job? Things like this. And when, you know, you usually have a folder. When you have a business, you'll have a bunch of those in there, and you can call back those resumes. You'll see a little picture of them too and stuff like that. And so they began to get bio datas in their Discord, like as if people were applying for jobs. And I remember at one point there was 250 bio datas submitted in their Discord in 24 hours. Because I'd go back and I'd look, and then I'd go out of the channel that the bio datas were submitted in. And then the next day I'd wake up and it'd say 250.
Wow, new message,
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, God, 250 in one day. This is crazy. Everybody's trying to get a job with YGG to work and play to earn, right? So I'm like, this is nuts, man. This is crazy. You know, I felt it, but this is nuts, you know? Anyways, this went on. And obviously, you know, things got crazy and hectic, and a lot of jobs were created and stuff like this. And this kind of leads me to sort of the next phase, which I began to try to figure out what happened. You know, like what really went on, what really is going on here. And I think there's a lot of things that happened, but I think there's one thing in specific that may have been overlooked. Maybe it's on some people's radars, but for me, there was one big thing that I think really, really happened that really accelerated this. And I kind of want to share that, and then I also want to share why I believe we're actually in the right place at the right time, and we're not the only ones that see that. And that's kind of where I kind of want to take this now. So, anyways, that's my story, right? That's my story, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Is now I'm beginning to do this research and figure out what's going on. Now that sort of the pump is out a little bit, if you could say, I feel like we're in that building phase, that hardcore, get in the building. Like if you're going to build something, if you're going to build a community, live streamers, influencers, like this is the time now to really go to work, right? The hype kind of boom. So I believe that what happened was the hype is actually the proof of concept, right? The hype proved, because, you have to remember, I was back here, wondering if I was in the right place. Like, is this going to go to zero? Did I totally just what am I doing here? Like, is anybody going to come here? Right. What I believe this showed was the proof. It's the proof of concept. It's that, yes, you're right. If you were here, you were right. You were in the right place at the right time. And that was sort of the proof. That's the, if you will, it's the de-risking event, right? It's where, you could buy the Yodenzaku at $25 and it goes to zero. But I believe right now, the de-risking, for example, if you buy a Yodenzaku, it's no longer going to zero. It could go down to $100 from 350, let's say, but it's not going to zero because it's been de-risked.
Yeah.
Right.
At this point, there will always be someone willing to buy it for a price.
Right. And that to me is sort of that de-risking event. It's that, you could comfortably jump in knowing that, hey, it's no longer, am I in the right place? You are in the right place. Is it the right time? Well, that's to see, but you are in the right place. This is a trend now. Okay. So what I think is interesting is, let's take it back a little bit. Now there's my story, and now you guys kind of know a little bit about me. Now let's take it back a little bit. I've done some research here, and this is one of the biggest things I thought I could share that would really, really prove like kind of what kind of may have happened here. So this is A16Z.com's website, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who A16Z is, but I want to touch on this a little bit first because I think this is an important article. Now remember, this is published directly on A16 website, and like I said, I'll explain what A16. Basically, they're a big fund manager in the United States that is very nimble, and they want to be really early to things. This come up, but I'll get into that in a second. So basically, what happened was this was published. Now, I want to pay attention to the dates a little bit here. This is
This is August of last year. Yeah,
August of last year.
Oh, this is literally right around the time I got in, maybe just before.
Okay, yeah, and that might not be a coincidence because that's what I'm going to get into here. So basically, I won't read this word for word, but basically what this says is that they recognize this guy specifically. They name out this guy named Gabby Dizon, who was a local gamer entrepreneur who was in Manila, in a city in Manila, who ultimately was lending out his characters in a game called Axie Infinity to people in the community, which became which is basically what I was doing, right? So like I almost feel like I was doing the same thing. So let's say Gabby was having a similar experience that I was having, right? He was just having the experience in Axie Infinity. I was having it in Splinterlands. And so I really relate with this story because it's what I was doing, right? I'm trying to help. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to lend out my Splinterlands stuff, right? So then what happened was, they talk about this new model called play to earn, and it's a gaming economy. And he had some partners who were like kind of with him called Beryl and Owl, right? Who were his guild mates sort of. And they were helping other Filipinos by lending out their Axies, and they called them scholars. And they lent in-game items to earn tokens, which can be traded into real world money, Filipino pesos. And then they even created a documentary on it, which now has about 350,000 views on it at this point, which is a documentary about Axie Infinity and this place with Gabby and how it kind of sparked.
Okay.
And then they go into saying that, they talk about just this phenomenon. They think it's a sort of a paradigm and whatnot. But this paragraph right here, I think, is very interesting. This is what really I think we need to hone in on. They say, we're thrilled to join this community as a partner and are excited to help establish NFT-based play-to-earn games as the next major innovation in gaming. That's why today we're announcing a 4.6 million funding round in YGG, an investment that was finalized prior to the YGG token sale on July 27th. Okay, and why I think this is very interesting is because if you actually, this is a live chart on CoinGecko of the AXS token, the Axie Infinity token, and you can see that this article was published right about here. Okay, right about here. So you got to imagine that obviously the token was already finalized. This is when they actually published it. So you can imagine they were probably priming this all up right around here.
Interesting. Okay.
Which in my opinion was also around the time, if you go back and look at when I jumped in, it was right about here. Okay.
Is this for Axie or for Splinterlands?
Well, for Splinterlands, right? But I'm assuming like Gabby seems like
he's
on
sure. When you jumped in the game. Okay.
So I'm imagining that if Gabby was doing the same thing that I was doing around the same time, it was right around here. Okay. Which let me move the mouse out of the way here real quick. So we're talking about right around here, this flat zone.
Yep.
Right. We're like, it's there's no heartbeat, right? It's just there. So I'm imagining that, A16Z or these funds and stuff like this started to recognize the trend, right? That was happening with someone like me or Gabby, right? Right around here, you see a little bit of interest, which could have been front running. And then ultimately they published this article, which is way after, right? It's already like, all the foundation work is done by the time they publish the article, right? That's the last thing they're going to do, which is right around here where they ultimately have this huge pump, right? And now we're here. So the timing is very interesting. So that's why I think okay. So that's why I think this paragraph is extremely the one to home in on. Now the last paragraph is a little bit interesting too. Right now, they kind of get into what they think. So right now, remember this is published. Here. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So let's go back and look at this. Right now, there is a large untapped economy opportunity in the emerging markets, right? Philippines, emerging market, to provide jobs by building a virtual economy in a digital world, okay? I think that's a very important phrase there, a virtual economy in a digital world. One of the things I've been saying on my streams to Filipinos is I say this is you're tapping into a global marketplace, okay?
Yep.
Because when you're a local Filipino where I'm from in a province, okay, you have a local marketplace and it's a province, okay? And it's a little bit tough to buy and sell things, you know what I mean? When you have a Splinterlands asset, when you have a NFT card, okay, you are able to tap into a global marketplace, okay? Now they're calling it a virtual economy in a digital world. I think that's important. The way we define job is quickly evolving because of crypto and gaming, and we think we're just starting to glimpse what is possible in the realm, in this realm. With 4,700 scholars and over 8.6 million earned, YGG is now paying over $1 million weekly and already proving to be an unstoppable force for good. We couldn't be more excited to work with Gabby, Beryl, and Owl and the rest of the team to bring YGG to an even wider community of scholars around the world. Okay, now remember, they published the article here, right? So what I believe happened was, they're working with Gabby here. They launched this YGG.
Where's
token.
July 27th? Because that's when the token sale went live. So they were definitely talking before that.
Look right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the times line up right. So they launched this token. Remember, they don't publish the article yet. They launched the token. They're working directly with this small Axie Infinity team who is beginning. Remember, their Discord was blowing up at this time. Huge community of Discord members just flooding in, right? And now all of a sudden they wait. Boom, they get a little pump. They publish an article. We're paying out millions of dollars, right? We're creating jobs. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So anyways, that's the time zone I thought was really interesting. Now, remember, at this time, right, these are the same time dates Splinterlands begins to fire up. Now, let me open up this because I think this is important. Okay, this is who is A16Z. Okay, who is A16Z? For those of you guys that don't know, they're behind names like Facebook, Lyft, Groupon, Roblox, right? Instagram, Pinterest, right? And then they've got active portfolio. You guys could check this out, A16Z. You can see, I mean, just all these huge names. But one thing that I think is important, let me just preface this because I've done a little bit of research, and I'm not an expert on this stuff, but let me just give you a little bit of an idea here to sum it up. And A16Z likes to be the first. Okay, they don't want to buy into something that's already going. For example, and this is just my opinion here, they're not going to come directly into Splinterlands, right? Because they like to grab somebody like sort of an entrepreneur or a leader who's sort of, you know, they've sort of proven the concept, if you will,
sure.
but they're so early that A16Z likes to come in. They bring their own team members. They really like just kind of plug that entrepreneur in, and they like to be like the seed round. You know, they don't want to invest in something that already has like let's say even venture capital money or anything like that already there. They want to be the seed. You know, they want to be the one that like plants the seed. Like, oh, they grab Gabby, who was a seed, and they want to be the ones that like drops it in the ground and waters it and sunlight and you know and they want to be the one that controls the entire growth of that.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So that's how I would define A16Z. So I think the reason why I think they're important is because since they want to be so early, not only do I think they're early to like, let's say Gabby and Axie Infinity, but I think what they want to do is they also want to be, you could almost say they want to, what they want to be early to the entire niche.
Entire
the
space,
play
yeah.
to earn the entire space. So I believe not only did they spot this as, wow, we're the first, no one sees this, right? Then they're also grabbing entrepreneurs where they're like, okay, this guy's the first one here. All right, we don't really know what's going to blow up. Is it going to be communities? Is it going to be a specific game? They're just trying to be the first to everything.
Okay.
Okay. So when you see names like Airbnb or Lyft or Facebook or Roblox, you could probably imagine that if this is in their portfolio, they were probably the seed ones. They were the first ones. They didn't buy into Roblox after everybody. They were the first ones. They probably grabbed the team. And so a lot of times, if you think about it from that perspective, they could almost not guarantee success, right? But if they control every aspect of that thing, it's almost like, and they have the money to back it, they could almost like, as long as it is a real thing, they could almost like kind of guarantee success. And if it doesn't successful, they got no one to blame but themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's enough about that. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of A16Z. Now, I want to go back here real quick to Splinterlands because I think this is important because here's what I think happened. I don't want to speculate on why I think it was Axie Infinity and why it wasn't a different game. Okay. But what I want to say is it just happened to be Axie Infinity. Okay. And when they pumped this, I want to look at these. I want to show you guys these numbers real quick, right? I want to home in on this number, $4.6 million in financing, okay, for YGG, okay, which I believe YGG just basically just plowed that into Axie because that was their model. You know, that's kind of what maybe they were even funded for. You want to help your community by owning these NFTs or these Axies. Here's $4.6 million. Go do what you do.
Well, and also it seemed like those guys were deep into the Axie ecosystem at that point, so it would make sense for them to go all in on it.
Right. So now what you ultimately see now, for those of you guys that don't remember, when Axie Infinity came onto the scene, they bought 2 regions and they bought 6,000 Untamed packs, which at the time, that was sort of the ending sales. As a matter of fact, when YGG came in, they created a little bit of a hype. You know, they did bring money behind them, but they created a little bit of a hype too, because for the first time, it was like, wait a minute, we knew Axie was pumping and Splinterlands was right behind it. So when YGG came in, we were like, oh, everybody got a little excited and perked up. And that was about the time when Untamed sold out. And the land also sold out because we didn't know how hard they were going to come in. Like I said, we didn't know what they were buying, but they ultimately ended up buying. Now we know they bought 2 regions and 6,000 Untamed packs, which at the time was significant enough. But remember, we didn't know if they were coming in to buy everything out.
Sure.
Right. We knew that, like, we kind of knew that they got pumped. Now we can see these articles and stuff like that, but we knew that $4.6 million. I mean, let's just put some perspective on this. Our entire market cap was $4 million. Okay. I mean,
yeah. And at the time there was no SPS. So that literally is the market cap.
I mean, you literally tens of thousands of dollars could have pumped, ultimately could have pumped this. Now, remember, here's what I think happened. I don't want to rant too much, but let's just think about this. If $4.6 million got pumped, now remember, let's just assume, I don't have charts like this on Axie Infinity, but I'd imagine they were treading the same way, right? And so the $4.6 million could have mainly gone into Axie, but imagine what that did to the Axie ecosystem, and then ultimately you would think, you know, Splinterlands becomes super appealing as Axie is going up and up and up. I mean, Spinnerlands is right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're on the radar, obviously. So I think ultimately, I don't want to say single-handedly this did it, but if someone had this ultimate proof that said single-handedly that $4.6 million from A16Z is what did this, I would not be surprised. I'd be like, yeah.
So going back, is this the one thing that you think caused the entire spark last summer?
Boy, this could have been the rain and the sunlight, man. You know what I mean? Like you needed the seeds, you needed the entrepreneurs. I mean, there was a lot more that went into this, but gosh, if this was not the rain, maybe you could say it was the sunlight, maybe not the rain. I mean,
yeah.
but it was that, man. But now I'm going to get into where I think this actually gets a little bit more. Hopefully, this is interesting to people, and if not, it's going to get a little. I'm going to try to make this even more interesting.
It's fascinating to me, so don't worry about everybody else. I'm listening. Great. So,
well, if you feel that way, maybe that's how a lot of other people are going to feel. Okay, cool. So here's where we are, right? All right. So this $4.6 million becomes the sunlight. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
For these seeds, the seeds like me, for example, right? Okay. So here we go. All right. So we're beginning to pump. Like I said, the sunlight is now shining. The moon set and the sunrise. Okay. So now where I think this gets super interesting. Let me see what else I got. Should I share this next? Yeah, why not? Okay. So people may find this interesting. This is actually, now remember, YGG is now kind of like I don't know if they're a public company or whatever they really are, but now they kind of have to have an investor meeting, sort of say, or whatever. And so they're showing their assets. So for those of you guys that don't know, and I don't mean to keep on harping on YGG, but I think this is the story that I want to run with because I think it's the most interesting. But obviously, there was a lot of players that probably came over from YGG. Some we may not have heard of, some maybe be behind the scenes. But I think YGG was the one that kind of got the spotlight, and that's why I'm choosing to focus on them. And you guys could sort of speculate on how many other players may have come over from this or whatnot. But anyways, this is the current holding. I think this is this is the current holding. As a matter of fact, you can see validators in here. There's 5 validators. Oh, wow. This is actually YGG's current holding.
Oh, there you go. May 28th. Okay.
Okay. Oh, May 28th. Yeah, it's on here. Okay. So May 28th. So geez, days ago, right? So I'm giving you guys the latest information. So this is their holding. We'll just go through it real quick. We could see DEC. They've got SPS here. They got staked SPS big, $81,000. They've got the 2 regions, like I said, which, like I said, we didn't know what they were buying. There was a lot of rumors. Now we can ultimately go back and we can see what they actually ended up getting. So they ended up buying 2 regions. We were scared they were going to buy, I think at that time there was like 50 regions left, if I remember correctly. And we weren't sure they were going to come and buy all 50. Yeah. They were only 10 grand, right? So, I mean, 100 grand could have gotten them 10. I mean, it would have been nothing for them with the raised money. Ultimately, what I think happened, though, was they actually pumped most, if not all of it, into Axie, and Spinnerlands was sort of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So anyways, this is where they're at. They've got cards. I don't know what this is.
Collection power? Yeah.
Collection power, right? Which actually... actually is down here in a little picture here, which is 113,000. Now they did vote about a couple months ago. They did have a board meeting and they did vote for they had 6,000 untamed packs, and only about 3 months ago, don't quote me on this stuff, but about 3 months ago is when they actually voted to open them up. So I
heard about that recently. Okay.
Yeah, so they opened up 6,000 untamed packs. I guess this is what came out of it, right? They're not selling anything or anything like that, so they're pretty much holders of everything. This is what's come out of it. So I think this is all their untamed cards now. That's why you don't see any untamed packs, because they've all been opened up.
Got it. Okay.
Obviously, they have a lot of vouchers, and I think they did also vote to ultimately use their vouchers and some of their SPS and buy 5 validators in the pre-sale. So for anybody that's interesting, this is their holdings, and I guess we're talking about. They've got it valued at about $500,000. I think that's super conservative, because I think like regions and stuff, like 2 regions. I guess that is the market.
Also keep in mind that the value of these things are down tremendously. I mean, SPS, for example, is down 90%. That could very easily be $800,000 in just SPS if we were looking back at the all-time high.
Yeah. Now, just to give you an idea, I don't know. I'll go in a little bit of detail. Maybe people are interested in details. Just to give you guys an idea of some of the knowledge I have here is like my opinion. I'll throw my opinion in here. Gabby, who I believe is, basically the top of YGG, his vision is to never sell. So it's not ultimately up to him, because these are now run by treasuries and DAOs and votes and things like this. But just to give you guys an idea of, let's say, the top and how he thinks is, his vision is to hold everything. He really sees these assets as ways of creating, let's say, jobs for Filipinos specifically. And that's really his vision. And so if it was up to him, he would never sell anything. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
So, that's how he sees this. These are absolute long-term holds, which are ultimately going to create jobs. And this is my vision too. I really connect with this. This is how I feel. This is my vision. This is sort of, my evolution after COVID. I don't want to go back. I'm not opening my businesses up anymore. We're not going back into legacy world, if you will, right?
Sure.
This is my new path, and this is also, I believe, this is me reflecting and digging into my soul, and I believe I'm in the right place. If you could pray and figure out if you're in the right place, this is where I believe I'm supposed to be. So anyways, and that I believe is shared. I really relate with, let's say, Gabby. I've never talked to Gabby before. I never really met him in person. Never talked to him one-on-one, but I connect with him. So anyways, that's this. So I thought I'd share that first. What else might be interesting? So anyways, I think that's it. So now let me get into the next phase here, and then maybe after sound, me and you could kind of reflect on this, and we could talk about it a little bit more. I'd love to hear, I got feedback on all of this when I'm done. So the last thing I want to show here, pretty much, that I think I have is this. We had our live meetup yesterday for our event, for our NFT, our Spin the Lands event here locally.
How did that go?
Really, really well. We're really, really, really well. I mean, I'm enjoying that. I'm talking, I'm meeting all of our players. Some people are struggling now because obviously we're in this sort of this down. We built this in the hype phase when DEC was ultimately, I think, $14 per thousand. So there's a lot of people that have been struggling with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so we're sort of in this. But what's happening is, my partner calls it the weeding out process, sort of. And so what's being left is the real stars, the people that are really going to dig into this with us. So I kind of call this like the backbone stage. We're building our backbone.
Yeah, that's
or you could call this the foundation. And so we're really focusing on foundation, and I think that's like, even if you're an influencer for Spinlands, right, you're probably feeling this. This is your backbone community now that's sticking with you. These are the guys that, when everything's pumpy, the names you're going to remember. Oh, you were here with me when I only had 20 people, 5 people on my live stream. You know what I mean? I remember this name, Nif's name. That's kind of where we're at right now. It's those strong guys that are like, bro, I believe it. I see the vision. We're here. We're going to do this long term, because that's really what we're building. So that's what our live events is looking like right now. It's those, those guys. So I shared this with our local community 2 days ago at our live event, and I think this is super duper interesting. So I want to pay attention again up here to the date that's in their address here. And again, this is A16Z, and this is their date. This is the date. This was actually this is 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Okay, so this was published 2 weeks ago. Remember, they published this article right at a very interesting time. Yeah. And now they've published this article 2 weeks ago. And what is this? They're calling this the Games Fund 1, okay? And they got this video. I won't play it because, I don't know copyright and stuff like that, but you guys could check this out. It's a 1-minute clip, and it's a very hypey, exciting, boom, 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 games. We're here. It's time, guys, right? But I think this is what's most interesting right here. This one sentence right here. With this
600 million.
Yes, $600 million Games Fund 1. We plan to invest in the following themes. Okay. Now I've done a little bit of research here, and I see them. They're behind Z1. There's some interesting plays here too, man. You could actually see the whole list of what they're involved in. They're also the seed investor in a cryptocurrency called like WorldCoin or something like that. And the idea behind WorldCoin is like they're going to airdrop the coin on every single human being on Earth. That this 6 or 7 billion people on Earth, and everybody.
Okay.
Their seed. So I don't know if that resembles how they think or how they feel, or if maybe it's one entrepreneur within the A16Z sort of framework. But let's just say they like to be the first ones. They like to seed
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and they like to sort of. So, anyways, if you actually read through this stuff, and maybe you could share these links in your video, I'll give you all these links. And so, if anybody wants to go and look at any of the stuff I'm
Yeah, that'd be
sharing today,
great.
they can actually dig into a little bit more. But um, man, they just raised, and the number's actually bigger than this. But this is what they've allocated this game's one fund. And if you actually dig into this a bit, what you're going to find is just, dude, it's not just games. Okay, they believe that blockchain gaming, crypto gaming, if you will, is the next thing. And I think this takes it back to, I think you put these two articles together. You can remember they published this earlier, and this sort of said what we think, and now they're backing it with $600 million. So right, so back here could have been again. I go back to saying, if you look at these charts, like this chart here, what I believe this jump here is, this is for them. Like the $4.16 million is like me buying a $25 Yoden Zaku, believing that I'm in the right place. And for them, the 4 point something million dollars that they invested in Gabby and Axie Infinity ultimately was them buying a $25 Yoden Zaku.
Yeah.
Right. It was them going, okay, wait a minute, there's something here. Right.
Well, like you were saying, the term I would agree with is proof of concept, right? So for them, it's chump change. You throw $4 million at something, you see what it does. Well, now you rev up or you empty out the piggy bank.
So I stopped sharing my screen, and I'd love to just maybe get some feedback from you. And
oh man, you dropped so much. This is actually fantastic. So
great, man.
I gotta say, well, I appreciate the fact that you did your research, brought your receipts. So thinking back for me, because I lived through that time, right? Like through the Bitcoin crash of May 2021, and then the following kind of bear market that happened, and then this out of the ashes rising phoenix that is Axie Infinity, right? And all of a sudden I'm hearing about crypto gaming. When before, I was primarily focused on Bitcoin. I wasn't really messing around with too many alts. It was like I wasn't paying attention. But then this idea of gaming came around. Players in the Philippines earning $25 a day. This is when Axie was like, obviously at a much higher price. And now, to me, I was just like, where did this come from? A lot of the narrative around that time was very much, well, the players who are playing this game decided that they didn't care. It was a bear market. So they're going to just keep on playing. And therefore, the price of the token continued to rise just due to demand and, limited supply. So I've had that like thesis in my mind for the last year, and you just kind of completely upended that. Not in a terrible way, but in a way that's actually in many instances makes me much more bullish, because we already know what $4 million did to the Axie ecosystem last year. So 600 million coming in, and let's be real, that's not all going to go to crypto. I even saw some stuff in there that's they're going to fund like Twitch and things like that, but it's the all around ecosystem. But I have to imagine that what's that saying, like a rising tide lifts all boats. That
absolutely,
even if none of that directly hits Splinterlands or the Splinterlands ecosystem, the thing is, I do believe that the team has gotten quite a bit of a foothold. They've gotten the attention. They've gotten the attention of top influencers. They've gotten the attention of Warner Music, right? Which is random, but it's real, and it's legitimizing in many ways. So when people talk about crypto gaming, I'm still surprised that Splinterlands is not in like the top discussion, but I think it's just a matter of time. And people will always point to like Hive not being a popular blockchain for it, but at the end of the day, I haven't had any issues with Hive. And what I think is interesting with the charts that you shared is there's a certain stickiness that comes with it. And what I mean by that is, so going back to Bitcoin, for example, every Bitcoin halving and every subsequent bull run that happens, the true hodlers in the space, the people who get it, right? They look at this and they're like, oh, yeah, this is going to change the world, right? It's not just store of value. It's not just like, it's a decentralized form of exchange. Or it's a decentralized store of value. That number increases every 4 years.
right.
And like we go through this big boom, people come in, they try to make some money. A lot of people lose a ton of money. But even the people that, come in and are down a bunch, I was one of those people in 2017 where, I didn't necessarily buy at the top, but I held through because I liked the idea of it, and I didn't want to sell at a loss. And so then learning more about it, and obviously how far Bitcoin and now crypto as a whole have come, it's been fascinating to me to see that group just continue to grow in number. And I kind of look at Splinterlands, and I'm sure crypto gaming to a certain extent, but Splinterlands definitely has this stickiness to it, where I lived through one of those kind of big booms, right? Where we had all these people come through, and now, yes, many people have gotten washed out, but this backbone or the foundation that you were talking about is much bigger than it was a year ago, much bigger than it was 18 months ago.
Right.
And so I don't know when the next big boom comes. I don't know if it's going to be as big of a boom, but when I see things like what you shared
Yes.
with not YGG, but with
A16Z.
A16Z deciding to spend some money in this
Yes.
space, and I mean that was 3 days ago. No, not 3 days ago. That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, man.
So
And they've got a YouTube channel. They dropped. You can go check
mhm,
A16Z's YouTube channel. They dropped. Because if you look at the article, right, it's text on their website, but they've got a YouTube channel, and they dropped that game, that really hype-beat game. Boom,
yeah,
boom, boom, boom. This is it, right? Listen. I'm listening to what you're saying, and this sort of leads me to one of my motives of why I am even in front of a camera and not just doing this by myself in front of my computer.
mhm,
Um, how do I say this? Um, we got to stick together, like our community of Splinterlands. We need one of the reasons why I'm showing you guys A16Z
mhm,
is because Bitcoin to me was a very important movement, and I was there. I was in. You asked me this question. I actually never answered it. I got it. I don't remember the date, but I started. I was in Bitcoin right around $200 when
mm.
Bitcoin was about $200 a piece. I got in,
Oh man,
and
that's the
listen,
first time I heard about Bitcoin, but I didn't come back to it for a couple of years when it's 200
yeah,
bucks.
and listen, I didn't like, it's hard. It's really hard when you're super early to stuff.
Yeah,
It's like buying Yodenzakis at $25, man. It's very, very difficult. But somewhere in my soul, man, I just listen to myself, and I just trust myself, and I'm just like, man, and I kind of follow my passion. I mean, look, dude, I moved to the Philippines. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I gave up. People told me I was crazy. I was giving up. I worked at the Aria Casino, man, one of the best casinos in Las Vegas. They're
mm.
making $400 a night right now in tips. You know
Wow,
what I mean? That's what a dealer at Aria is making right now, about $400, a day in tips. You
wow,
know what I mean? And so, I was like, I'm out. So I have a tendency to follow my passion, and I've learned to trust myself over time. Now I'm 40 years old, but so I've learned, through my 30s and whatnot, to trust myself, and I roll with it. And this is me again. I don't think it's a coincidence I'm in Spinnerlands. You know what I mean? I don't
yeah,
think I landed here because my friend said you need to play this game, and I got in and I got lucky. And I really, really, really was here because I felt this is where I was supposed to be. And so the point I want to get across here today, and why I'm sharing this information, is really because there's going to be a lot of games created, like, for example, by A16Z, for example, where they're going to be the ones who create it. They're going to be the ones who literally found it. They'll seed it. They'll found it, and it'll be all them, and there'll be a lot of games like that. And I believe maybe potentially, I don't think they're evil, but I think, they'll go into a community like Discord, YGG's, tens of thousands of members now in their Discord channel, and they'll say, check out this new game,
yeah,
and come play this. And they do whipsaw Filipinos. I see it all the time. I have Filipino streamers I work with, and, they're sharing different games and things like this. And I think that's fine, but you have to understand what's happening behind the scenes, right? You have to understand this research. You got to understand that, okay, this is a game. Spinnerlands is like a game that was founded by, look, I'm a Nintendo player, right?
mhm,
There's a VHS tape somewhere in a box, in an attic, of me opening up a Christmas present, when I was whatever years old, and playing Nintendo for the first time, and not sleeping the first day because I was playing Mario Brothers. I'm a gamer, bro. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like at heart, this is where I'm supposed to be. I didn't spot a trend as some boomer dinosaur fund that's going to come in and allocate money. This is my game. You know what I mean? This is
yeah,
my place, and this is my community. And ultimately, during a bear market, it's easy to see that, you know what I mean? But during a bull market, it gets lost a little bit as everybody rushes in. But now is the time where we need to stick together. We need to be strong together. You know, we need to own this game. This is our game.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to make sure that, you know, this is a movement for me. This is personal. You know what I mean? I don't want to see us younger gamers have to pile on top of dinosaur money. You know, the dinosaur money that makes its way into this ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, here's some stats. I'll throw some stats. I actually
Please.
wrote some stats down. League of Legends, okay, one of the biggest games out there right now. They've got 100 million players. Okay, they have 1,000 are able to make a living. 100 million players playing League of Legends, and 1,000 of them are actually making a living playing it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Twitch. 3 million streamers on Twitch. This may be old data, but anyways, you guys will get the point. 3 million streamers on Twitch. How many of them do you think can make a living from Twitch streaming?
It's probably going to be a small percentage.
10,000.
Wow. It's not even 1%.
It's like 0.033 or something like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Basically, here's what I believe. And this is where the movement comes in. This is where it starts to get a little personal for me. When I was playing a game as a kid, playing my games as a kid, it was okay. You're a kid, play games, kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But now I want to play games, and I'm 40. Okay. And what I believe Bitcoin did for us was it created the money. You know, my landlord right now where I live, I rent this house. My landlord, his son sat in an office for years playing Dota and selling swords and shields from killing dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he had to break terms of service, total clunky, had to do it in a very dark webbish way. Okay.
Yeah.
What I believe Bitcoin did was it created the currency that was going to allow us, me as a 40-year-old dude who wants to play a game, to have my own damn money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this is now the money. And it's no wonder that now we're able to play games because listen, we want to have digital economies. You know, we could rattle off these games where we had these digital economies, where we had to do it at breaking terms of service and potentially getting banned from the game. And I believe part of this is because, you know, we have these who used to be my parents, right? I mean, well, the boomers and stuff, the parents who are now like saying, no, you guys can play this game, but no, you can't. Don't even dare try to create an economy in that game, right? You need to come back and get a job, go work,
Mm-hmm.
go pay Social Security, you know, whatever the case may be. Get on the machine, kid. You know what I mean? You can play your game, but that's got to be a hobby. You can't go and play games full time now. You now need to go out and work. Get on the machine, kid. You know what I mean? The game is a sideline. What I think Bitcoin's done is it opens up and just allows us to say, no. You know what I mean? We're going this way, guys. You know what I mean? And that's where the movement comes in for me. And that's where it gets really personal because, you know, the dinosaur money represents 80% of the wealth, I think. Again, don't quote me. But the younger generations are like 5, 6, 7, 8%.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they're calling this the greatest transfer of wealth between generations, right? As once the inheritance from boomers to millennials, which I'm a millennial with you. So yeah, there's a significant amount of money that they're holding right now that over the next decade or two will make its way over to us.
And I believe all this stuff is happening for a reason. You know, I believe, you know, being drawn to gaming, being drawn to the real cash economy aspect of things, the real money aspect of things. We're not kids anymore, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we want our real money. We want, you know, we're building what we want, man. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's fascinating. You talk about that, you know, that memory of yours or the video of yours of, you know, with the Nintendo, like, you know, our generation, we grew up with this, right? Like Atari came out, or like, I mean, Atari was a little bit before, but the Nintendo revolutionized everything. And then Sega followed, and you had obviously Sony and Microsoft get in the early 2000s. It's like, I think about gaming and like what gaming is today. And I'm right there with you where it's just like, wait, this is something that was, an innovation that happened in our lifetime, similar to the internet, right? That we've just grown with. And now we're seeing it evolve into this thing that is literally eating the world in many ways. You know, just completely digitizing. It's digitized so many things. Like media was first, right? The MP3 first, and we were all torrenting like videos and movies and things like that.
yeah.
And now we've gotten to the point where in 2009 we digitized money, right, with Bitcoin. And what that's led to over the past 12, 13 years is we have now digitized economies, like full economies. We're
Yeah.
playing games, and they're happening in open, decentralized economies. Like you said, somebody was like playing Dota and like doing it, breaking terms of service. Like
Yeah.
that was that was us knocking against the wall. And now
Absolutely.
with things
And
like
that,
Axie and Splinterlands, we've
yes.
broken that down.
And I don't, and listen, I don't know if it's a guarantee at this point, but maybe it's not. I don't think we should get complacent. But one of the points I want to make is, if dinosaur money shapes gaming, then we'll be buying skins. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Skins for our avatar and stuff like this. I don't want to buy skins, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I want. And so, although I do have that core Bitcoiner in me, I'm very protective of. I'm very aware. Listen, I think that there's people that have come out, like for example, you may have seen the big tweet from Jack Dorsey that said you don't own Web3, the VCs own Web3. I think when you're on a global stage and you have a big stage like Jack Dorsey does, saying that type of stuff and just putting a big broad umbrella over everything, I think it's very important for him
Mm-hmm.
to talk like that when he's talking to everybody at once. But when we're on a small stream, like when I'm with you after sound and we're on a small stream like this in a small game like Splinterlands, I think we could talk a little bit different. And that is that there's a difference between some of the things that may be forming out. And like I said, I don't think VC money and dinosaur money is necessarily evil. But at the same time, I'm not going to be in a situation where what I'm doing somehow becomes coined illegal, or you can only buy a skin because if you own it, it's a security, or all these titles that may come into it.
Yeah.
And I think I want to be very protective of, like, and listen, if I can get very specific without giving like financial advice. I mean, if someone was to say, well, bro, I hear what you're saying, man, I'm down with it all. You shared the information about A16Z, you're
Mm-hmm.
sharing your personal story, you're telling me it's a movement and I'm buying into it, and I hear what you're saying, bro, but what do I do, man? How do I get involved? Like, if somebody was to say that to me, man, I would say something like, honestly, you want me to be real? I mean, chaos cards, man. You know what I mean? Like if there's any way for us to really, I mean, I teach Filipinos, dude, like, you just got to take a little bit of a risk, man. Hold your cards, bro.
Yeah.
Right? Like our community coming together. Like, I joke about it. I've been shooting YouTube videos where I go in and I just buy cards because I'm trying to calm everybody down. Like, hey, you don't need to worry. Like, look at me, I'm just buying cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hold them forever, guys. The idea here is this. Sometimes I make a video and I go in and I just buy, like, I just shot a video, I think a couple days ago, I uploaded to YouTube. It's just, all it is me. I clipped out myself buying chaos cards. Like, oh, I like the Antoid Platoon, for example. I really like that card. Yeah, I think it's underpriced.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a card I spotted, and I bought it, and I made a YouTube video, and I said, look, I bought pages and pages of Antoid Platoons. And at the end, I kind of made a joke. I actually went back and listened to it, and I thought it was funny because I didn't hear myself saying it until I went back and listened to it. But I said, that's my community service for the day.
Yeah.
And that's really how I believe, man. Like, because listen, and that brings me to one more point. Another point I want to make. We have to be in a position of strength at all times. I was on the Gang show, and I think it's amazing. Gang talks about how he had a couple thousands of dollars to his name, and he put it all in Spinlands because he believed and
I remember
ultimately
him saying that.
found
Yeah.
himself here. Okay, that isn't my story. Okay, that isn't. I can't relate with that of going all in on Spinlands, because that's not what I did. But at the same time, I believe we all need to be in a position of strength. We all know the macro environment. I don't need to regurgitate. And I kind of say that that's what the legacy world is doing right now. We got Jerome Powell and all this crap. We don't need to get into it. You guys see
Mm-hmm.
the videos, right? And all this scare. We as younger dudes, right? The millennials are younger and whatnot. Not that I'm trying to exclude the olders, but they generally have a 401k and they own their real estate and stuff like this. So if they're playing this game, I imagine they own a real piece of real estate. They own blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to the younger generations. We need to be in a position of strength. What do I mean by that? I mean, listen, and I'm not even joking when I say this. It's going to sound funny, but I'm not even joking. Okay. Right now, you can work about 1 month at McDonald's and you can save up enough money if you're sleeping on your mom's couch to buy a validator node in
Mm-hmm.
Spinnerlands. Okay. And I'm not even joking, dude. If you need to go work at McDonald's, okay,
To
during
go
a
buy
hard
that
time,
validator
if that's
node.
potentially where we're going, dude, go get a freaking validator node, bro, and then make a
Yeah.
video, go get on Aftersound and talk about how you just saved up 30, dude, come on, you would have him on, wouldn't you, Aftersound?
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course. Go, you will be a star in this community. The guy who worked at McDonald's for 30 days to save up enough money for a validator node. Listen, you got to maintain a position of strength. We need to be strong through any tough times. I am going to
Mhm.
be here buying chaos cards no matter what happens. If we pump, I buy. If we dump, I buy. I'm buying chaos cards, and I'm going to film it and I'm going to show it. The idea here is we're climbing a mountain. Right now, the mountain just happens to be chaos cards. Later on, it'll be other things, land
Yeah.
areas and all that other cool stuff. Right now, we're climbing the mountain of chaos cards. You're climbing this mountain with us if you're buying. Buy these chaos cards. You hold them for freaking ever, right? Like that's the mentality you have to have.
Yeah.
Just hold it forever. Listen, if we pump and you want to sell a few cards, fine. But the mentality you go into it with is you're going to hold forever. This is what climbing the mountain looks like for our community. And like I said, if things get tough, go get a job, and then buy some chaos cards with some fiat if you have to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's what moving forward in this community is going to look like, and then hold forever. I am committed to being here and buying chaos cards, right? I tell people to buy chaos cards, and I take that personally because when I'm telling people to do something, I back up my words, and I'm planning on buying chaos cards. And when chaos sells out, I'm going to keep buying chaos cards. And when I buy 3 pages of Android platoons and there's no more packs to open up, you can figure out where you think things are going to go. But I'm
Sure.
committed to doing that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm climbing to the summit here. I'm climbing to the summit. We're not dragging anybody with us. I'm not buying chaos cards for anybody, and I'm not buying chaos cards for other people. I'm buying them for myself.
Yeah.
If you want to run up this hill with me, buy them with me. And ultimately, we'll be at the summit of this thing, and we'll be looking over an amazing view.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
committed to doing. And so that's my message to this community is we need to stick together. We need to be strong together. We need to recognize what's happening in the dinosaur money world, right? And we need to maintain a position of strength so we can pull out of this thing together. Yeah, I'm
Now,
rambling.
what's interesting is so because you've mentioned this a couple times, like this maintaining position of strength in the face of dinosaur money. Are you referring to any kind of like specific threat that you see in terms of like are you thinking that this dinosaur money could pull attention away from Splinterlands like we were getting it earlier, or that they could come in and just completely dominate the entire Splinterlands space and essentially like edge out the little guy?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. So I'll kind of throw this in two different ways. So one way is, there's a saying in the legacy world, we may have all heard it by now, but the saying goes, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Yep.
Okay. And, I don't know if real estate has now become outpriced for a 20-year-old, who's going to start a family. He may be a renter forever. But this is our space, right? And so the idea here is, you could either potentially take a chance that this is, Splinterlands, for example, is a grassroots project that's owned by me and you and guys like us, right?
Yeah.
Or you could take a chance that, you're going to get confused by the legacy world. And ultimately, 3 years from now, you'll come back in a big A16Z hype, and you'll end up in a game where you own nothing. You'll end up in a game where, you'll think you own a starship and you think you're visiting planets, and ultimately you don't own anything. Maybe that's where we're heading, because that's what they like. That's what they've done. You'll own a skin, you'll own a
Sure.
skin in a game, which is pretty much worthless. So that's one perspective. The other perspective, when I say from a position of strength, I mean this. You need to have fiat to survive. Right, our lifestyle is maintained by a fiat. Right,
Yeah.
if you're in the Philippines, it's pesos. If you're in the United States, it's the dollar. You maintain your lifestyle with fiat. And as they manipulate the currency, whether that's these words like tightening and and inflation and all these words, you don't even need to understand them. But what you need to understand is that these are controlled. I don't even want to use them. I'm not
Policies.
going to say
Yeah.
it's negative or not, but it's controlled. It's a controlled environment where
Sure.
we need to tighten now. We need to pull dollars out. We need to make people feel poor so that inflation will go down. These are manipulated things. And when I say maintain a position of strength, it's the last thing I want to see. Something I really hate to see is a guy that, has been building up his assets or buying Spinlands cards or bought his first Yodenzaku or that prize Yodenzaku, and he's part of our community. That's one of me, man. You know what I mean? Like high
Yeah.
five, bro. You know what I mean? And then watch him get shaken out because he needs to buy rice for his family. And ultimately, hey, bro, can you buy my Yodenzaku? I'll sell it to you for $150, bro. I need to lifestyle is more important than. And so when I say maintain a position of strength, what I mean is, don't be afraid to go and get your fiat straight. You know what I mean? Get your, the movement is not just about, don't get on the machine, bro. You know what I mean? Stay here, grind it out, you know, be a Twitch streamer and starve to death. That's not what this is about. This is about, you know, be here. Listen, because I'm gonna tell you guys what, I've got some fiat on the side. If this market crashes, I'll buy the Yoden Zaku's up at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'll be buying these cards. But I don't want to be here by myself, bro. I don't want to be the only guy that owns it. I don't want to be
Yeah.
alone. You know what I mean? I want, and I don't want to be with a bunch of people that got hyped in after A16Z hyped everything up. I
Yeah.
want to be here with you. Listen, I've been having these talks on Google Chat with a software company, for example, you know, and I'll give you an example. They open up their screen share and they say, "Hey, bro, let me show you this software program." And you know, I see these tabs, okay, because I'm looking at his screen. I see one tab that says Axie, and the other tab says Splinterlands, right? And he goes, "Ignore the Axie tab because I know you don't play Axie and I know you don't care about that. So just ignore that tab." You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
went, "Noted." Okay. So, all right. So,
It's big.
and
Yep.
I don't want to, I don't want to like point any fingers here, but you know, go look at the top guild charts. Do you
Yeah.
see any max level guilds coming in? You know what I mean? Do you see those, you know, max level guilds that were gifted for being $1 million entry? You see any of those? You know, so don't be so sure that, you know, again, um, here's an example, maybe a detailed example. You know, the A16Z starts to put in this $6 million right now, and we are ultimately going to trade sideways or rough times or whatever the hell you want to talk about, right? Remember that money's getting deployed. Okay, it's getting deployed. A16Z is not did not create a fund 2 weeks ago with $6 million in it to see if the market's going to recover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To wait for the signs. They're
Yeah.
not doing that. They're digging it, just like I'm digging it. I had a live event yesterday where I spoke to Filipinos right in person, and I looked right at them and I said, "Guys, we need to stick to." I said all this
Yeah.
in person to 50 people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I truly believe. Now I'm saying it on a live stream because they're deploying. Listen, I'm going to be building. I'm going to be developing a software program that's called Guild Management Software. I'm going to be doing that right now. No matter how tough it gets, I'm going to be building this with a software company. I'm doing it. I'm just here to let you guys know that this is what's happening behind the scenes, whether you believe it or not. So get out of your little bubble. You know what I mean? And get in here and get ready. You know what I mean? And because I want to win with, listen, after Sound Pro, I want to win with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I want to win with you guys. I want to win with these guys, man, the Mavericks. I want to win with you guys. I
Yeah.
don't want to play a game where I'm buying a $20 skin because it's a costume of Superman. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I love Superman. Anyways, I'm ranting. Am I
I
ranting too
no no
much?
no I love it. I mean, so with the whole skin thing, like I totally agree with you. It's, you know, I used to stream, actually I still do. But I used to play a lot more Fortnite, and the whole like skin, like it's not even, you don't even own it, right? You pay for it, and just all these kids getting duped into like thinking that they own something because it belongs
My
in their
kid,
account. Like
robot.
that was the stark difference for me, right? Because as soon as I discovered Splinterlands, it was like, oh my goodness, like, okay, this is what it means to actually pay for something in a game and own it, right? Because I can turn around, sell it, I can,
Rent it.
or rent it. Like that's, yeah.
Yeah.
So that the idea of having like digital income producing assets is fascinating to me, right? So like it's digital real estate in many ways. Now it's much more volatile, and it's at the whims of like, what's the game meta, how many players are there, what's the supply demand, you know, what's the value of the token at. But overall, it's still, you know, it's still, you still own these things, and there's a limited amount
Yeah.
of them.
Don't get
Now,
shaken out.
yeah, the thing is, you know, exactly what you were saying. So I came in with a lot of people, right? Like I was part of that hype cycle that came in last August, and there were a lot of people because I started streaming right away, first on Twitch and then obviously here on YouTube. And I met a ton of people who are no longer playing the game, and it makes me sad. Like I understand it, because I'm like, if you came in for the wrong reasons and you got out, that's fine, I can understand, right? But for the people who just either didn't get it, or they hit a period where they came in there and they're like, oh, this is, you know, this is gonna replace my job, this is gonna do whatever, and then it didn't do that once, you know, once the hype cycle ended, and then they left and they sold their assets, or they stopped playing or stopped paying attention. It makes me sad, because I'm just like, I'm hopeful, I'm confident that this game is going to look very different in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, right? And so for the people who are to be like, it'd be like buying Bitcoin at $200, for example, selling it when it dipped down to 100 and then never coming back.
Yeah. Even
It's
worse,
just
baby, because
uh,
this is,
yeah,
yeah, this is games, man.
yeah,
This tugs at our soul, man. I mean, if you were into money, you kind of got into Bitcoin if you were a younger money dude, but this is games now, man. You know?
I think the current or modern day Yoden Zaku, you use Yoden Zaku as an example quite a bit. I think it's the nodes, because even with as much conviction as I have, I didn't want to throw down to get a full node, right? So
Right.
I decided to do some shares of it with different guildmates,
Yeah,
but
I heard you.
it's like I was thinking about it, and now, especially even now, I'm like, maybe I should just get one just to have for myself. But a part of it is like, I don't know where it's going to go. In the same way that you were describing that sentiment for Yoden Zaku, where it's just like, this thing is $25 right now. Like, $25 is good for a couple of meals, and if it goes to zero, I can't really do anything with it. But who knows where the nodes could be, what value they could provide in the future. I could be paying $2,000 for a node right now, and that thing could be my retirement fund in 5-10 years. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Like, it's just,
sure.
it's things like that where it's difficult to see, and I understand like everybody's hesitation with it, because I'm human. I have the same thing. But looking at the history of what the assets have done within the game, they've always, the team has always delivered. And of course, past performance is not indicative of future, but everything that I'm seeing right now, both internally and externally with the team, is that, like, I mean, they're firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah,
It's like one of those things where, I think you and I, and I'm sure many others who are deep within the ecosystem, you just have this perspective where it's just like this is crazy. Like, there's things changing here, like fundamental shifts in how gaming and what gaming will be, what asset ownership within a digital
yes,
economy will be like.
yes.
And there's some brilliant people putting this all together. Yaba, Hardpoint, right? Cryptomancer, like, they're
And
all
they're
really
all,
working hard.
yeah, and they're all,
And
it's
they're
it's
doing it from love,
personal,
man. Yeah,
man.
they're creating
Yeah, that's
something.
why after sound I get on here, man, and I'm like, look, bro, like if there's one message I can send out, it's after sound, bro. I got to know, right? I bought one. I actually didn't think, look, there's a lot of arbitrage happens in this game where people go, do I buy chaos or do I buy older cards, or do I buy a node or do I hold
Mm-hmm.
SPS, right? There's a lot of that happens in this, and I understand it. But from another perspective, it's like, look, I buy a node and I let everybody know it's okay. It's okay to buy a node and hold it, dude. Listen, remember the movement of GameStop? I got fired up. I have no stocks. I'm not exposed to the stock market at all. Okay. Remember when GameStop blew up?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, it was like big news. It was like, we got them. Remember,
Yeah.
we got them. They're short squeeze. We got them. Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of guys in that movement. Okay, the influencers who pretty much, I don't even know if this is what happened, but this is the signal they sent. It was a signal of who cares about the fiat dinosaur money? We don't even got any wealth, and it was like, I'm gonna hold this. I bet you that dude could probably write a book right now, and
Yeah.
he'd probably sell more copies than he lost in that thing, right? Like, even if he was
Yeah.
thinking book sales, right? But my point is, it's like, look, in order, if you're here and you're gonna be here and a visionary, you got to get over the dollar value. I know that sounds crazy, and this goes back to me saying you gotta be in a position of strength. Like, I got a family, I have 2 kids, all right. I'm buying nodes, I'm buying this, right? But the idea behind it is, you got to maintain a position of strength while you're doing it, and then you could ignore the dollar amount, and then it becomes more of a passion play. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? I don't need to worry if my node goes down to $500 or $5,000. Listen, I got one node. I ain't selling it anyways.
Yeah.
I ain't selling it anyways. If it goes to $5,000, if A16Z pumps in, I make a deal with Agro and it pumps, I ain't selling it anyways.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm here, man. Right? Like YOLO, bro. You only live once. And
You
this,
know,
look, I'm here. I sacrifice, right? I got a family. I could be with my kids playing outside, right? There's a baby kitten outside. My daughter wants to go outside. You want to play with a baby kitten? I'd be outside playing with a baby kitten with my daughter right now, right? But I'm here. And if I'm gonna be here, I might as well be here. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
This is where I'm spending my time. I'm here. You know what I mean? And the message that I want to give out by making my YouTube videos is, guys, it's okay. We're here. We're here together. Let's
Yeah.
do this. You know what I mean? I buy a note. I'll hold it, bro. It goes to 500, bro. I'll hold it. I mean, we'll cry together. You know what I mean? But this is you know what I mean? Like, and that's
Yeah.
why, I mean, look, us young dudes, we're not used to being in a position of strength. A lot of these guys, they don't have money management skills. And I'm starting to stream that. I'm getting a lot of private messages saying, bro, they're asking me personal questions about finance. You know what I mean? Do I sell
Yeah.
it or do I hold it? I need to eat. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm giving financial advice kind of, and I don't really want to do that. But my point is, it's like, look, to sum it up, you got to be in a position of strength. Your personal life, your lifestyle has to be able to be maintained and not
Hmm.
dependent on split land's SPS price. It
Yeah.
can't be dependent on, and as long as you're in a position of strength, we could weather any storm, right? And
Yeah.
that's why I say, listen, you don't need to spend the 200, the 2 grand you have under your mattress. You do not need to choose between the $200 in your mattress and a validator node. Go get a job at McDonald's for 30 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just go, hey, can I take your order, bro? And just know that you're buying a validator node, bro. It's $12 an hour. It's $500 a week, right? In 4 weeks, you can make that $2,000. You know, go sleep on your mom's couch. Mom, I'm going to move back in with you for a month. Go get a validator node. It doesn't have to be your last 2 grand. And then you got your 2 grand and you got a validator node. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
what I mean by being in a position of strength. And as long as we do that, guys, we can ignore the money a little bit and we can push. I'm ranting again, bro.
Yeah.
I'm so
No, no.
passionate right now. I'm
Dude, I do.
so
I love the passion, and I think that is probably the biggest takeaway for me, and I'm sure many others is just I I
you
think
feel me,
okay.
bro?
No, no. So just taking it back to like what
Yeah,
happened with Axie and then the Split and Lens boom last year.
yeah,
I feel like there was a big there was this idea, especially with what you were saying, that this this could change lives, this could replace incomes, and that was where it was for a while.
yes,
We're not there right now, because
yes,
if you were waiting for that, or if you were depending on that, you're severely in the red right now based on how much you used to earn versus how much you can earn now.
true.
But where this goes in the future, I think, is there's a very bright light ahead. At least that's how I view it and why I'm bullish on it. And that's why, like, it's just like, don't turn away right now. Get your finances in order. Make sure you can live within your means, and then whatever you can't, like, that, it's such a cliche thing, but it's like, don't put in more than you can afford to lose, right? So as you were saying, like, don't choose between dinner and a legendary card or something, a chaos legendary card. Like, take care of yourself, because that's going to be the most important thing. But everything that you can do beyond that, there's so much opportunity, is how I'll say it. There's so much opportunity in this game if you can figure out how to get yourself in a position to be okay short term, short to medium to long term, and then have this kind of grow in parallel. Because I can't imagine, this game has probably been life changing for you in many ways if you got in December of 2020, right? Like, I like you know the value of the SPS that I was holding in October is like, way more than how much I have in SPS right now. And the value of
Right.
my deck or my cards right now is obviously much less than what it used to be. But there's so much I feel like there's so much, like, intrinsic value that I get from the community, from playing the game, and feeling like I'm part of something that's
Yeah.
really growing, and it's going to be, I don't know, something game changing in the future.
Yeah. And I
So
can tell you, in 2008, I was a real estate agent in Las Vegas,
mhm,
and I bought some rental properties. My uncle was the broker of the company, and he was buying, and we were buying property, and I bought, and then we went through that huge, up boom, and then we crashed. In 2009, I had a negative net worth.
oh
You
wow,
know what I mean? I went negative. I mean, lost sleep, couldn't sleep at night, deciding if I was going to, go, like, I guess bankrupt, you know what I mean? Like, give up the properties. And ultimately, I was upside down, hundreds of thousands of dollars upside down, because the
yeah,
mortgages I had on these properties, the property had gone significantly under what the mortgage value was.
hmm,
You know what I mean? And so, I'm not, I'm, listen, I know that this is not normal advice. I'm not trying to give financial advice here either. But when I buy something, okay, I like an asset or something like that with fiat, let's say dollars or peso currency. I I hold it. I want to hold it forever, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a mindset here that I think it's an important mindset. Like I said, it doesn't mean you're never going to sell, but you got to go into it with that perspective. And the reason why I think that's an important perspective, and maybe this doesn't work for everybody, but I'm just saying that this works for me. And here you guys go. Here's some information that works for me on how you hold something. When you say you're going to hold it forever, it actually takes the value of that thing out of the equation. Okay, because if you bought a Yodenzaku for $300, $350 right now, okay, and you're happy with that price, and you like the Yodenzaku, right, and it goes to 100, it's still a Yodenzaku,
Yeah.
right? It's worth it significantly a lot less. But if you bought it and you were fine at 350, it goes to 100, you still have the Yodenzaku, right? Were you going to sell it anyways if it went to 600? So at the end of the day, I guess my point here is that I don't use Splinterland's assets to maintain my lifestyle, right? And that's the position of strength that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
it's that when I buy an asset, if I buy Antoid platoons right now for 10 cents, they're in 12 cents now. Okay, I bought pages of them at 10 cents. Now
Okay.
it's 12 cents. Great, but I'm not selling any. I never was going to sell anyways. You know, I had a guy. I said this on a YouTube video, and a guy commented back, and he said, "Yeah, bro, but you should probably sell in 10 years because there's a life cycle to stuff." And I was like, 10 years? Who the hell could think in 10 years I'm going to sell? How do you think the hell you could even have that? So look, you say 10 years, just say forever, bro, because it's the same thing. So look, if you're happy with what you paid, if you bought it, who cares if it goes to 8, 12, like whatever, it's still an Antoid platoon, and I bought it, and I want it, and I'm gonna hold it, and I like to see it in my portfolio, and blah blah blah, and that's it. You know what I mean? And I think when you have the mindset that you're buying, you're gonna hold forever, you become part of the community. You know, we could chat now, dude. You know what I mean? It's not just all about the money aspect of it. It's like let's have a conversation about validator nodes from a non-money perspective. Why should we hold validator nodes? Let's decentralize this game. Let's control. Let's make sure that the next time when as A16Z is pumping in $600 million, that we have nodes. You know, we don't know who this guy is that has what. There's one guy that has 160 nodes. We don't know who it is. You know what I mean? Let's get one. This is our play. Look, I'm gonna be here long term, right? So like, I'm an influencer. I'm out here talking. I'm out here preaching. I'm out here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here rallying the troops or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell is, anyways, you get what I'm saying? So I think that's the bigger picture, bro. You know,
I feel the same way, or the way that you're talking about, like, that's exactly how I am with land, right? So I've only owned 2 plots. I bought my first one for 500. I think I bought the second one for 400, 450. But I don't know what the price is today, and I don't care. I literally can go to sleep every night not worrying. Like, if land goes to $50, which I can actually, if I get common land, I think land could actually go to $50. It wouldn't matter because I bought it. I'm happy that I own it, and I have no intention of selling it, right? Like, sure, yeah, if land plots were to hit $1 million, I might let go of one so that I can go buy myself something fancy. But that's 10 years from now, and I'm not thinking 10 years from now.
Right, that's an afterthought, right? That's an afterthought. Things change, but that's not the intention.
Exactly.
It's not the intention going in.
But that's kind of how I look at like NFTs, and now specifically like within gaming too, where it's just like, I mean, I don't know what your intention for buying the Antoid platoons is, but there's an intrinsic value that they have to you, right? You want them as assets. You're going to hold on to them. You know, even for like validator notes for people who are thinking about like, just if you want to get one, if you want to be part of the movement, if you want to be part of the decentralization, like get one and stop worrying about whether the price goes up or down, right? Just have one so that you own it. Oh, looks like there's a Ambler alert.
Yeah, and the bigger picture there is, that at the heart of that's what I think is gonna long-term perspective, right? And when I say long-term, I don't even know. I'm not even gonna put a time frame on that. Long-term could even be, I mean, in this space, man, 6 months, who knows? I mean, and that's kind of why I wanted to jump out here and share that, I think that if you're here, you're in the right place, right? I feel confident about that. I'm here. I'm digging in. Let's go. You know what I mean? And if you want to know my opinions on what I think that looks like from a specific perspective, I think Chaos Cards right now is our way of
look, we could even talk chaos cards. I think are going to be very interesting, man, because the old cards are one thing, but the chaos packs, like I've got a feeling that if you were a big investor and you tried to reach Agrid and said, "Hey, we want in," like how do we get in? I think nodes are cool because that's like a newer thing, but
Yeah.
like I think he would even push them into chaos. Go buy chaos packs. You want in? Go buy chaos packs.
Yeah.
So I think, look, what if I was going to try to really support this community, right? If I want to be supportive and support this community, what I feel like that looks like from an investor perspective, right? Because we're not talking gaming right now. We're not talking about all the investment.
Yeah.
I see it being that if I tell you to buy chaos cards and I know that I'm willing to buy those damn things up forever, right? Then I know that ultimately I'll be right, right? That ultimately my advice to you will be good. I will, dude. I will hold this, dude. I will put this on my. I will put chaos on my shoulders, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh my
I
gosh,
will.
you're gonna own the entire damn set at this point.
You know what I mean? But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the point I'm trying to make, right? The point is
Yeah.
like I know I'm not the only one, right? I
Mhm.
know that when I say I want to put chaos on my shoulders, that there's other people. Aggro.
Yeah.
Aggro probably feels like that. Aggro would try to put chaos on his shoulder. If he was the only one, he would do it, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm just out here turning on my camera, and ultimately someone's going to be listening to this and say, damn, I mean, that's how I feel. And they're going to be, you know, chaos. You know what I mean? Let's go. Let's climb this mountain. And I'm talking about from an investor. Look, I know that guys that play the game, they don't want to hear that. Oh, you bought pages of Android platoons. You are the evil, right? But there'll be some people that think like that. But I'm talking about the money for a second. I'm talking about, you know, if you don't care about the money aspect of these cards, if you're a player, you're like, I don't care what it's worth. I love this game, right? Like, okay, maybe you don't need to listen to this whole stream, right? But if you do care about the cards, then I'm here to say like rally the troops. I think chaos is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the first edition that came out that everybody's getting like a really broad group of people, like the newer people, like the Filipinos that I'm talking to now, the ones that are coming in now, they're having a chance to own a piece of.
Yeah.
There's no premium I feel like there's no premium in chaos cards.
Mhm.
It's kind of like selling and buying pressure. We're getting a real market value. It's not the scarcity play where there's premiums and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I mean,
And
look at how many unopened packs. Look at how many unsold packs there are. So this really is available to everybody.
And did you do this math before? I did this math. I think if I did my math correctly, there's about 1,500 max copies potential in the cards. Because I did some quick math and I figured that if assuming all chaos packs were opened up, right, which it's never going to happen, but
Mhm.
assuming they're all opened up and all the cards are circulating and every single one got combined into a max copy, there would only 1,500 max copies.
That sounds a little low. Maybe for legendaries? I don't know.
Do the math. I think I did the math like 4 times just to double check my
Okay.
math. I think that's true, man. But if that's true, right? And I think I did it on the rewards cards,
There's
and I found out that it was
it's got to
5,000.
be no, so the rewards cards, I just did the math on that. So they're ranging anywhere between 18 to 20,000. But when you think
Max
about the fact
copies.
that max copies. But when you think about the fact that we have, 400,000 active accounts, 300,000 active accounts, I don't know, anywhere between like 50 to 100,000 real players from within that, it's not enough. It's not like nearly enough.
Dude, man, I think it's a lot lower than that.
So I'll see if I can run the numbers on Chaos. I don't know what the final print counts are going to be though for a lot of cards because they don't have it. I don't think they ever
Yeah, it's
list
easy
that
to
up
do it.
anywhere.
It's easy to do it for the commons, right? Because, for example, the Venari Heatsmith right now has 4.4 million copies. It's 57% printed. So it's safe to say there's going to be, this is really quick math, right? 8 million copies.
Yeah, no. So with the rewards cards, they did announce there's 8 million commons.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Okay,
it's
so
with the
yeah, I could see it.
Chaos Legion cards that I'm not unsure of.
So if we take 8 million and we divide it by 400, right? Because it's 400
Mm-hmm.
mega max copy of Venari Heatsmith. Oh, you're right. It is 20,000.
20,000, yeah.
Ooh,
But that's still, again,
yeah.
when I ran that number, I was just like, holy crap! There's 300,000 active accounts right now. If the game with this, I know we're not talking about rank rewards, but their whole intention with rank rewards was to get everybody to play at the highest levels of the game, right? To put the best rewards at the top. So if everybody's trying to get the best rewards at the top, meaning that you need to have maxed out cards, There's only 20,000. It's not enough.
Yeah, and that's why I was actually doing the math the other day, because I know that the new kind of incentive structure is, you know, the higher the better kind of situation. And so I did it because I started to get interesting, because I thought max copies may become really important now, like much more important than before, or just much more, because there'll be a lot more people wanting those champion. Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's interesting because like I'm like either people are going to go and buy them up, so therefore like putting the price up, or you may have a lot of folks that choose to try and rent because the what's that called? Folks will try to go and rent because the rewards are so good at the top. Like one of the things that I was just looking at is like summoners are completely dried up, leveled up summoners. Those have all been rented out. So who's going to do that? Who's going to do the math and see if there's an arbitrage now where you can go and buy up all the summoners, right? And be the person that provides that service of rental to all the people looking for the rentals, right?
Right.
Because if that number goes high enough, then sure, you put in a significant amount of investment. You have a maxed out summoner or a level 6 summoner for gold or whatever the case is.
And you got a 30-day ROI, right?
Yeah, well, somebody's gonna run the math on that, and somebody who's probably less lazy
and
than
willing
me,
to take the risk.
yeah, and willing and has the capital to do so. But that's where it's at right now. Because sure, can the prices of the summoners go down? Yeah, of course they can in the short term. But long term, I would say that the market has been relatively stable for the last couple of months, and we haven't seen too much of a shock. I'm talking about for summoner prices specifically, right? We haven't seen too much of a shock with this new kind of update that has come in.
Yeah, that's it. Those are really interesting points, and it's so early that I honestly I haven't even wrapped my head around these things. That's a very interesting point, and you're starting to get me to think too of, you know, I think I was you and Darkest Night maybe. I was listening to you guys talk on a stream. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and one of the points I think if I heard correctly, I think Darkest Night was talking about, you know, how much he was. I think you said something about like $100 and something a week if his chess was relatively the same. So there's another opportunity there where maybe gamers, because, you know, we have some really hardcore gamers, and this game really hasn't necessarily, you know, for example, we have accounts that we give to Filipinos, and I could say that there hasn't really seemed to be an edge for a guy who's a gamer versus just an average Filipino who's not a gamer, who just comes in and runs an account, right? It's almost like you can make the same. Where now what may be coming into play is where that gamer who can actually be good at this game is going to be able to make a money, to where maybe what we could start seeing is gamers arbitraging the opportunity, going, hey, if I'm good at this game, right, I could make significantly more money. And that becomes an opportunity from a gamer's perspective. So what could have just happened potentially is, and tell me what you think about this, we created this foundation to set up the game the proper way, because I know some people are complaining now that bots aren't renting my cards anymore and stuff like that, you know. Or I can't battle bots anymore, it's too hard, I'm battling real people, things like this.
I'm so over the bot arguments one way or another. It's just like, oh, we don't want them here, oh, now we miss them because they were giving us passive income. It's just like, oh, you can't have your cake and eat it too, unfortunately.
But what's the ripple effect of the change now that we're going to see? You know, like they just dropped the pebble in the pond, you know, and we're about to see the ripple and how it's going to affect everything now. You know, for example, if guys in Champions start to brag about how much money they're making, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ripple.
Oh,
because all of a sudden your videos as an influencer, you're going to be coming on with people like Darkest Night who are going to be coming on going, this is what
you got to get to champion as quickly as possible. Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because he literally says the same thing, where he's just like, just wait until these champion chests start opening, like end of season or whenever people, he's like, when people see what's in there, it's going to drive them to want to be earning at the higher levels. And I think that's exactly what's going to be the case. Like, even for myself, right? Like, I want to play in champion, or I want to be earning champion level chests, even though my deck is really only good enough for gold. But when I see what people are getting, it's like, okay, well, long term, this is why I'm buying the cards. This is why I'm like playing and trying to improve. This is why I'm trying to learn the different strategies and get better. So,
from an investment standpoint, there's one more aspect here. You know, I have a lot of 1BCX cards because from an investment standpoint, it makes sense to have 1BCX cards. But if I'm in a situation where now I can't rent those because the power play isn't there, right? The bots who are renting for power, because you could rent everything
Mhm.
before, right?
Yeah.
But if I start not being able to rent those, but then I crunch the numbers and find out that if I combine these, although I don't like to combine cards, right, because it lowers the value of the one BCXs, but if I crunch the numbers and figure, boy, I could make all my money back, or even though I'm going to lose some money, but I can make it back because the
Yeah.
ROI is so great. Now I might be actually incentivized to combine my cards and not even worry about it because I'm going to make it back in the rental income, and I only need to be
Yeah.
exposed for a short period of time. So that's very interesting.
I'm telling you, man, there's definitely going to be an arbitrage there. Like I said, I'm too lazy to do the math, but I'm sure somebody's going to come along and do it. Um, what I'm curious about though is the is okay. So we have this, like you said, there's a pebble thrown right now, right?
Right.
To me, there's two more, maybe even three more pebbles that are going to be thrown in the next 3 months, which is kind of crazy to think about the fact that like nothing's really happened in this game for the past 5 months, and now all of a sudden we're going to get this fire hose moment that Agro was talking about. Because I think Modern and Wild, to a certain extent, are going to shake up the market. Not necessarily, it's not going to do anything crazy, but what it can do is change the different incentives. So there may be, for example, less demand on some of the older cards as people shift to like just only play Modern. So they've reduced their rental. So maybe rental prices on the Wild cards come down, but on Modern cards they go up because everybody's just like, okay, well, I used to rent Valnamore. I used to rent these like beta level summoners, and now I'm just going to play Modern. So I'm going to put all that into renting, Yoden Zaku or whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like the different things are going to align, and then the airdrop ends in July. Like that's for sure happening mid July, July 26th,
Right.
and that's going to shake things up too.
Mm.
So those two are the ones that I think are going to happen within the next 2 months. So yeah, by early August, I'm expecting Modern and Wild, and then that. And then Rift Watchers is going to come along, and I don't know what Rift Watchers is going to do. It's going to change the meta, but I don't know. It could be something. And then there's Land, but I don't know when Land will happen.
Right.
So,
So
much, lots to be excited about. But yeah, man, this was awesome. It's getting late for me here, so I'm gonna wrap up if that's cool with you.
Yeah, we got on a strong rant here. Hopefully, there's a lot of value in here for everybody.
Oh no, there's a ton, man. Like I said, so I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you bringing all that information because it's made me think differently about stuff, and
Sweet.
It makes me want to front run Andreessen Horowitz just a little bit.
Listen, I could deep dive, but I kind of gave the surface just to pique everybody's interest. Go do your research. I'll send you the links to After Sound. You can share.
Yeah, I'll add them to the
description.
Yeah,
anybody that's interested in research. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff there.
Yeah. And just for clarification for everybody here, none of this is financial advice. We're just Level Up Life, and we're just gamers. We're just trying to figure things out. We're sharing our experience with you. So we have no idea where things are going to go, but there are very, very fascinating developments that have been happening both inside and outside the game, which I think are worth doing your own research on. But as we close this out, Level Up Life, you've given a ton of great advice today in terms of just how to have the mindset as a player, as a gamer, as an investor, and just also as financial, how to just be someone
financial advice.
Yeah, not non-financial financial advice, like just being secure, making sure you have your stuff together, making sure you are able to put food on the table before you do anything, irresponsible. But in addition to that, is there anything you want to leave folks with? Something you're excited about, or where you see maybe Splinterlands looking like in the next like 6 months to the end of the year?
I think when you say that, the first thing that just comes to my mind is like the message I'm just trying to give is like, I value myself. I'm here. I'm putting my energy in here. I don't think I'm here on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the message I just want to send to everybody is like, take a deep breath and let's roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm here, I'm going to be here long term, and I'm ready to roll with the community.
Yeah.
I think that's the message.
I don't know if this is what you're getting at. Maybe from like a religious or universe perspective, but in many ways, when you say it like that, I do feel the same way. There were certain things that happened in my life that kind of led me to be able to be in a position to discover something like Splinterlands. And now being in it for like the past 8-9 months, it has been life-changing in many ways. Not, I'm not rich, I'm not retiring, it's not anything like that. But in terms of the community that I've been able to form, just the relationships with people, the friendships with people, and even being able to connect with someone like you halfway across the world, right? Just talking about, like, we just spent almost 2 hours talking about a game that we both love, that is changing lives, not just for you and I, but for people around the world, that, to us has a bright future. So it's incredible to me, and I'm humbled. I'm grateful to like be here, be part of the community, and just to, like you said, I love it. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to like say anything superfluous or whatever. Like I actually really admire your passion for this and the way that you're trying to get the community to stick together, because I think it is important. And I don't know what risks and what curveballs are going to be thrown at us as a community in the future. But I think if we're all here kind of thinking this through, talking about it, it'll make it easier. It'll make it fun. And that the best thing I love about this, even though in my heart I always say that I'm a Bitcoin maxi, but the best thing I love about Splinterlands is the fact that I can play with my investment. I can't do that with Bitcoin.
Splinterlands got me through COVID, man. I mean, not specifically Splinterlands, but this stuff. This stuff kept me sane, bro. You know what I mean? And so I'm ready, man. I'm ready to go. But listen, I really appreciate you having me on. This was great. You Gank. I mean, I'm fans of your guys's, and to be able to just share what's in my head, you know what I mean? And you guys giving me the platform, to do that with my Splinterlands fam. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I appreciate that, So
well, look, anytime you want to come back, anytime you want to chat, definitely let me know. I want to make sure people know, though, that you do have your own channel. So make sure you send me that so I can put it in the link. We want to get you, want to get everybody in this community to go over and support you as well. Is there anything else like Twitter or Discord or someplace that people, if they want to connect with you?
My friend one of their community members made me a logo. He said, "You need a logo, bro." And so
I saw the hat. I liked it. I need some merch.
Leveluplife.
There you go.
That's it. And maybe I'm gonna try my hardest, man. I'm gonna try to be in Vegas, dude.
That'd be great
for the Splinter Fest. So hopefully I'll be there, and I'll have a Level Up Life shirt on. You guys come say what's up.
No, that'd be great, man. It's interesting. I'm almost a little envious of the fact that you're having these in-person meetup events in the Philippines. Because I've been telling this to everybody, but I was just talking with Darkest Night earlier. I'm just like, Splinterlands has been such a digital thing in my life, and I'm so looking forward to Splinterfest and whatever kind of physical events they have in the future, because it's just like, it'll just be good to like meet people, shake hands, like see people face to face, all the folks that I've gotten to know. So if you're gonna be there, that would be awesome, man.
My wife, I don't know if you did see the picture. My wife dressed up as Queen Mycelius.
No way. Wait, where was this posted?
Oh, I posted in the Mavs, but it kind of got lost because of the update.
Oh, all right. I'll look it up. I think Splinterfest is going to have some interesting cosplay as well. I've heard several other folks wanting to dress up as different summoners or monsters, so that should be fun.
Yeah, listen, we're hoping that something happens in the Philippines, man, and that would just be awesome, man. We're gonna show up hard if that happens, and we'd love to really meet everybody in the Philippines too.
Well, if they do something in the Philippines, not this year, but potentially next year, I think I'm this close to convince. I mean, I don't even need to convince him, but I think Darkest Night and I might just make a trek out over to the Philippines. I'm speaking for him when I should be, but I'm trying to convince him. Philippines who doesn't want a reason to go out there, right? So
Philippines would be awesome.
It's a beautiful place. So
all right, man. Well,
I appreciate it, dude. Have an awesome day, because I know it's like morning for you. I'm about to go take care of some things and hit the sack. But
take it easy,
for everybody
man.
here, appreciate you guys coming through. Make sure you check out Level Up Life. Go support him on his channel. And yeah, man, this is awesome.
Thanks, After Sound. Appreciate it, man. Later, guys.